Phil and Will are back with another Season 30 Survivor preseason podcast. We've been doing a couple of these for like the last 3 weeks, previewing Season 30. Earlier, we did a winner's draft based on the theme of Season 30. Then we did a full cast assessment, and then we did a fantasy draft between me and Willie. So if you haven't seen those, check them out. Let us know what you think. This week, we're going to do something. We're going to do a boot list, and we want to try to get the subscribers and stuff involved. So.
Yeah, the problem with Fantasy Survivor is that, every season maximum you'll have like 20 people, and this season we have 18 people, so it's hard to really do a fantasy season and have everyone draft teams. I don't know if any of you, people have tried to play fantasy before. It just gets a little dicey with Survivor just because of how few people there are. So yeah, we did our fantasy draft last week. You can check that out. This week it's a fantasy game kind of, and so what you do is you make a boot list starting from 18th place to first place, just of what you think is going to happen, and then the way it's scored is so let's say you have randomly like Mike, you have him going out 10th in 10th place, not going out 10th. Let's say you have him in 10th place, and then he really goes out first. So then it would be 18th place minus 10th place. That's equals to 8. That's how many points you would get. So the person with the least amount of points at the end is the winner. So Phil and I each will be doing a boot list prediction, and you can actually, what we're going to do is we're going to let subscribers play with us, and you can win a buff. How great is a buff?
Yeah, so pretty much what we're going to do is, we're just starting out a little bit here, so we want to kind of reward subscribers for subscribing to us off the bat, and what we're going to do is everybody can submit one boot list. It has to obviously be before the premiere, otherwise that's kind of cheating. Just comment on the video with a boot list. For every 25 entries that we get, there will be a buff to win. So let's say that there's 100 entries. It would be four people could win buffs.
We had 100 entries. Wow.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Hopefully we even get to 25,
Yeah. So, I mean, if we only get 20 entries, there will still be a buff that can be won. But let's say
no
we
matter
do
what,
get
there's a buff.
Yes. There's at least one buff. But let's say we were to get 100 people somehow, and that would mean 4 buffs. The only catch is that you have to beat at least me or Will. So if there's 100 entries and only 3 people beat me or Willie, and that 4th person doesn't beat either of us, then he does not get a buff. Because if you don't beat us, why should we're not giving you a buff if you don't beat us. That's the way I look at it.
Right. I would be surprised if there weren't people if there were 100 for 4 people not to beat us.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if one of us wins, then we have to reward. I have to, if Phil wins, I got to buy the buff for not only the subscribers who win, but for him, and vice versa. So it will be interesting to see. So yeah, comment with your boot list, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that you have to be a subscriber to be entered. So make sure you subscribe when you enter your boot list. And I know there's a function on YouTube that says tie your subscriptions. If your subscription's hidden, we won't be able to see that you're won't.
Yeah, I think we lost you there for a second, but if your subscription is hidden
off, if you want to be, yeah, if we might have 5 people, and that would still be fun because I could win a buff, you could win a buff, Phil. Do you have any buffs, Phil?
No, I don't have any, and I don't know what you said before that, but I lost you. I lost you hard. I don't know what you said, but I don't have any buffs. That's the first thing I heard coming back.
I'm just saying, even if there's only like 5 people who enter, there'll still be a buff up for grabs for one of us playing. We're just going to be participants in this as well. Yeah, I have one buff. It's from Vanuatu. It's the Yellow tribe, so it's the Chick tribe, and I think only one male was ever on that tribe. I think it was Bubba. Yeah.
It was Bubba.
So I guess Bubba. I'm repping Bubba whenever I rock the buff.
Yeah, and what are we thinking for this one? Since it's the Season 30 thing, it would be either one of the tribes from this season or the 30th anniversary buff that they came out with. Those are
it'd be a Season 30 buff.
Yeah.
Or the anniversary buff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have any questions about entering, it's pretty simple. Again, you just have to comment your boot list before the premiere and make sure you're a subscriber and that our subscriptions are visible to other YouTube accounts. And hopefully, if you have friends who like the show, have them participate too. the Survivor Fantasy, when I've ever played it, it's been against like one or two people just because of the number of people in the game. So this is a way to get like a big pool of people, competing, and it will be fun to see how few points you can get each week.
Yeah, and it costs you guys absolutely nothing. So it's going to be costing us at the end of the day. So this is your chance to play for free and have the opportunity here to come away with a buff. For any huge Survivor fan, that's kind of cool.
I want the buff. I want to beat Phil and make him buy me a buff. So, we're going to go over our picks right now. It doesn't really matter who picks first or who goes first because it's not a draft type of thing. It's just making your own boot list. So, Phil, you want to start it off?
I'll start it off, and I think first boot's always the hardest one. And this is a struggle. You never know with 3 tribes especially who the hell's going to go to tribal and all that stuff. So it's kind of difficult. I went back and forth on this for a while, and who really knows? I'm going to start off with the first boot. I'm going to say it's from White Collar.
Okay, that's that's fair. That's fair. The problem with the first pick is that if they end up going far. Every week they're costing you. They're bringing you in points, and you don't want points in this game. So if So makes it even to
10th place, that's 8 points.
Right, and 10th place isn't even very good. So that could be worse than that. But I'm going to go with Lindsay at 18, just because even if she doesn't go first, I feel like she's not going to make the merge, just because she is. I think she's the weakest person on that blue collar tribe, and I think she fits in better with the no collar personalities. I just don't see her really fitting in on that tribe, so I'm gonna go Lindsay.
Yeah, and I've been kind of looking. I just like to look at all the Reddit pages and stuff, and I know a lot of people are thinking that Lindsay could be a little bit of a dark horse, but I'm gonna put her at 17 because I don't think she is. I don't think that she's gonna fit in. I agree with you. I don't think that she's gonna fit in too well. So I'm gonna put Lindsay as the second boot. Blue collar. When blue collar goes to tribal, I think she's the first one going.
Right. Okay. Let's see here. This really is. I haven't really thought about this yet, so I don't have my list all planned out. That white collar tribe. I'm gonna go with Joaquin as my 17th. I know he's strong, but I just feel like that ego, man, that alpha male selfish presence that he would just not stop talking about during his interview. And I did look back. It was him who said my way or the highway, and that's just not how you want to play the game at all. So I got Joaquin at 17.
Yeah, and maybe because we've talked about it with each other so much, maybe we've kind of numbed each other to the fact of I don't like this person, so then you don't like him. I got Joaquin at 16 because I agree with you. I think that he's just going to start. I think he's just going to be annoying. And, yeah, he could be the villain of this season, and maybe he'll be more like a Pete or something like that where nobody expected him really to last as long as he did, but he got on a tribe that kept winning, so he wasn't going anywhere, and he got to stir stuff up. But with Joaquin, I think the white-collar tribe's probably the weakest, and I think that they're going to see tribal council a lot before any type of switch-up.
Yeah. I think, I can't disagree with you. One pick away from me. I'm going to go with Nina at 16 for me. And I could be totally off with this. If her hearing thing, we just don't know how big of an effect this hearing thing is going to have. But either way, even if she makes the merge, she can't be around for long. She just can't be. So I feel comfortable putting Nina at 16, and I hope she goes home early because I want to do well in this bootless game.
And I seriously think that we're going to need to do something to change this up because I got Nina next too. Because I think we're just going to keep going. We're going down the line right now. I'm just kidding. We don't have to change anything. But it's funny
it will get more interesting as we go.
I just think with Nina, there's no way that these people are not going to let her see the merge. If they let her see the merge, that's just she's an easy sympathy vote, and if she hits the merge, I don't know. I feel like I just don't think she's ever going to make it. Nobody ever wants to sit there, as it's coming down, you're getting closer and closer, your odds are getting better and better for $1 million, and you have Nina sitting there who can sit there and say, look, I can't hear really. and I fit in and I'm likable and here I am. Nobody's going to want that. I think she's definitely a pre-merge boot, so I like putting her at 15.
Okay. Yeah, agreed. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Dan. Unfortunately, for me at 15. I love Dan, and he's on my fantasy squad. But just being that old, bigger guy, just it's hard to overcome that. So that's where I got Dan.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who I want to put next. I definitely don't have Dan there. I don't know. I don't.
Because
It's.
we got to think about hedging these,
I know.
against our fantasy squads, like how
Yeah, and I'm at 14, right? I'm one ahead of you.
yeah.
Well, you know what? I'll do what you did, and I'll hedge a little bit against my fantasy
Oh
tribe.
man.
No, no, I'm not putting Dan.
Oh, I
No,
thought
no,
you
no.
were
I'm
gonna
gonna hedge.
pick.
I'm hedging a
I
little bit
was
against
like,
my fantasy tribe. I'm gonna put
okay.
Haley.
Yeah, we just I feel like Haley is she could I just I don't we don't know much about Haley yet, especially because we haven't gotten her Gordon Holmes interview, which they're not as great as they were the first few, but those interviews are still pretty interesting to read. Um,
Yeah, I like the
okay,
interview.
so you're
I agree. Haley could go either way for me. Like I like having her on the fantasy team as like my last girl pick, but I don't know that whole no collar tribe. She might just. I feel like she's the Lindsay of that tribe, where it's like she doesn't fit in. She's kind of like more white collary. I almost feel like than she is. Maybe I don't know. I saw some of her interviews. I don't know. I just don't think that she's going to fit in as well with the no collar people.
yeah, and I could see her being an earlier boot, but I could also see her getting kind of just being that like chick who doesn't really have a shot to win at the end, like not a total goat that somebody really is annoyed with and hates, but just kind of someone who's there and doesn't really make many moves and have that much influence on what goes down. So I'm going to keep Haley around a little bit for my boot list. And next for me will be So Kim, and she's on my fantasy squad, but I feel like she is totally on the outs of. I just don't see her fitting in with her white collar tribe. She does say she's athletic though, so that's why I have her kind of a little bit like you had her going out last place. She does seem a pretty like outdoorsy person and capable in challenges, so that's why I see her kind of maybe working into a tribe swap, making it that far. Come merge time, I don't know how. I don't think she'll make the merge though. So that's my 14th pick, right?
18, 17, 16. Yeah,
Or
that's 14.
14th
Yep.
place, right? Okay. So we each have gone to 14. Let's do a recap just to make sure you know what we've done so far.
Yeah. So I have Lindsay, Joaquin, Nina, Haley as my first five out.
And have you been keeping track of mine? I mean, I think I could say it, but
No, I
I
have
know
yours. I
you're
have yours in front of
the
me. So
record keeper over there.
yeah, I got them all in front of me. You want me to say yours?
All right, why don't you read? Yeah, yeah. Why don't you read that to me?
Okay, yeah, I have the Excel file, so I got everything like organized. So you have Lindsay, Joaquin, Nina, Dan, so.
Okay. Yep, that's right. All right, your
I'm,
pick.
I'm actually going to go Dan next.
Poor Dan. I really hope this doesn't happen to him because he seems like such a cool guy.
I agree. I just on that blue collar tribe, man. That's a tough tribe to kind of figure out which way it's going to go. And I don't know the whole pre-merge part of this right now. I don't really feel like any tribe has an upper hand. I have in my first six people out, it's two from each tribe because I really don't feel like anybody has an upper hand at all.
That's probably a good way to do it. Um,
Yeah, that was not done on
let's
purpose.
see. Yeah, but now that you mention that, I might. So I already have So and Joaquin gone from White Collar, and then I have Lindsay and Dan from Blue Collar, and then Nina from No Collar. So maybe I should not get a No Collar. But see,
What's up?
Oh, I guess yeah, I'm
What I lost you. I
in
don't know.
13th place.
You went in and out there. I don't know what happened there. What's up?
I'm gonna go with Will. That Will at 13th place. Everything
Okay.
else I said was just me thinking through. Not that important.
Yeah,
And if
you keep
anyone,
cutting out a little bit, so I'm not sure. But now you're good. But before you cut out,
okay,
so
yeah, and if anyone watching is thinking about their boot list and thinking about what we say, it might not be the best idea because we don't know what we're really talking about. We love just talking about Survivor and playing these little games. So
yeah,
well,
it's
when
not
it's all said and done, we'll see who the victor is. But
yeah, it's not like we have any ins or really know anything that valuable. We're just kind of sitting here. It's all predictions, and yeah, who knows?
yeah, so I
I'm
have Will
I'm
going
not
out
normally
at
very good
at
at these
13th.
predictions. So, all right, so you just went Will. I guess at 12, because I'm thinking that this guy's either going to be a pre-merge boot or he's going to go right around the merge because I don't feel like people are going to want to keep him around too long unless he does fall into the role of a GOAT. I'm going to go Rodney.
Yep, I've been thinking about Ronnie. The thing is, I can see him after reading his interview. I feel like he's a little bit smarter than I originally thought, and yeah, I don't know about Rodney. I can
I
see him making moves.
I look at him as like he's a huge meathead. So like he's a huge strong guy, not a meathead. That was wrong words. He's just this big strong guy here, and he looks to me like the typical early merge boot if he's still around, depending on how his personality actually comes off on the show. I don't see him making it too deep in the game unless he is a GOAT, because I think he's going to be either threatening or people are going to be annoyed by him. He's going to be gone beforehand anyway. So that's why I have him going right around 12 or at 12, which is right around when a merge would happen or right before a merge. So
Okay, and I mean, when I'm thinking of this boot list, I'm not necessarily saying this is what I think is going to happen in the order. I'm just trying to place them best strategically for the scoring wise, and that's why I'm going to go with Haley going out 12th, just because I could see Haley being like an early, maybe even a first boot, but I could also see her making final tribal council. So that's why I'm putting her, not right in the middle, but kind of leaving her hanging a little longer than you did. So I will go Haley with the 12th place.
okay, yeah, I mean Haley, like I think we've talked about Haley to death in all of our podcasts about season 30, but I mean we're both iffy on Haley. I feel like, and who knows? She's one of the ones that I really can't get a good feel for at all.
Hmm.
Um, all right, so at 11th, I'm gonna go Tyler, and my reasoning for him is because I see him kind of like how you see Haley, where he could win the game, but he could be the first one out too. And which way is it gonna go? I really don't know. If he hits the merge, he could be not seen as too much of a threat because he really doesn't look like he's that strong of a guy, even though he did kick for the NFL. I don't know with him, so I'm gonna put him in the middle and. Either way, if he goes out, I'm probably going to get points because I don't think he's going to go in the middle. I just don't know which side to put him on.
Yeah, yeah. I have like a group of people who I think are going to go deep, and then I have my group of people that I just like they should go out now, but I don't know how to order that group of like kind of people I'm not too big of. Hmm. I'm going to go with let's see. I'm going to go with Carolyn
Okay.
for this is for 11th. So this is right around the merge, maybe before, maybe even after. Um, I could see her getting she's the oldest on that white collar tribe, and this is just to prevent not having her too deep in the game if she is like the first one voted off. So
What
um,
I find funny right now, what's funny to me is we both I have Haley on my team and you have So on your team, and we both have them going out pretty early. And then Carolyn was still out there for both of us, and she was on the Phantom team for this Fantasy Survivor thing. I think that's kind of funny because it's like,
that's kind of funny. Um, but there are other things that take. There are different games. It's not. And then
Yeah.
we'll do our power rankings next week, which will totally flip everything on its head because that's a week-to-week basis thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you can get different points from different ways in the fantasy game, and this obviously you have to kind of think strategically about where you're going to place each person. So yeah, I think Carolyn, she's someone that I think could go early. So that's why and this obviously someone who could go far too. And I don't think she's going to go like super early. I could actually see her being like fifth or sixth, Carolyn. I just don't think she has that great a shot of winning the game. But it's like an insurance policy. That's why I'm putting her here, because you can lose big points if the person that gets voted off first you have going really deep. So
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I guess I'm gonna go at 10th. I'm gonna put Will, and I still really like Will. And even after reading his Gordon Holmes interview, it wasn't as good as some of the other ones, but he's a pretty likable guy, and I think that he's actually gonna be a pretty good player. He's another one though, like you with Carolyn. I don't think Will's gonna win the game. So I'm gonna kind of put him here and assume for maybe like a fifth, sixth, or seventh play finish. And if he were to go out pre-merge, at least I have him kind of up there. I don't think Will's going to win this. So that's why I'm gonna pull him in at 10th.
okay,
Yeah, as the
yeah,
first.
I'm not too big on Will. I'm really not. He's on the Phantom squad, right?
Yeah, he's on the Phantom squad.
Mm-hmm. That's referring to our last fantasy game where we each have a tribe of 6, and then there's the Phantom squad, which is the leftover players we didn't pick, and we really can't lose the Phantom tribe, or it just proves we know nothing. Okay, so this is my pick to go out 10th place. Hmm. I'm going to with go with Rodney here.
Okay.
I can see Rodney making the merge, and I think then he becomes that physical threat that people try to get out. Like I can see him being in the merge boot.
That's why I had him at 12. So we have the same reasoning really on that.
Yeah, yeah. So there's Rodney. It'd be fun to see. I mean, from their interviews, it's really interesting that like Rodney seems like a guy who I could really like to see play, and it just depends whether he's like a dick or not. Like like if he's a huge dick and just annoying and pissing people off, then he'll go early. But if he's smart as his interview shows and he's kind of fun and likable and not just like this total, Jersey or Boston asshole, then he could really, he could be a serious gamer.
I'm starting to warm up to him a little bit, which scares me because I mean I bashed him in our cast assessment. Like I just blew him apart. And like I couldn't even keep a straight face while we were saying his name. I was just laughing so hard. But now I'm starting to like him more, and that freaks me out a little bit. Although I do think that if between him and Joaquin, who we were both really hard on, if either of them are going to end up being the villain of this season, I think it's going to be more towards Joaquin than Rodney. I feel like Rodney you would actually start to like, whereas Joaquin I don't think you have any chance of liking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this first episode is just going to be so telling of just how these people interact with each other and play. I'm going with Rodney to get 10th place.
And that's why you do your boot lists beforehand.
Right. Makes it interesting. So I mean, this is kind of it's a gamble. It's like no one knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm gonna break the Survivor Internet's heart right now. And at 9th place, I'm gonna put Shirin.
I was thinking putting Shirin.
And I know she's like the preseason favorite, and
she's
like
the internet's pick to win. Yeah.
She is like the internet loves her, and
Jen is picking up steam though. After that interview. Jen is certainly picking up.
Yeah, that interview was wonderful, and people kind of responded to it. Oh man, did you cut out again?
No, I hear you. I'm here.
Oh, okay. I thought you cut out again. Your picture froze, and it sounded like you cut out. Anyway, yeah, Jen is kind of cool. Shirin is like, I don't know. I think Shirin could be a really early boot. That's why I don't want to put her down at like number 3 or 4, or even winning because I don't know. She could rub people the wrong way a little bit. So I'm going to go with ninth. Maybe she makes the merge. Maybe she doesn't. I don't really have too much invested in Sharon here.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, the problem is we have to put some people at 3 or 4, and it's just so hard to know who. And with this is for my ninth place person, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Tyler, another kind of big, strong guy, physical threat. And you already picked Tyler. What place did you have Tyler going out?
11th.
11. I have him going out ninth. Okay, so not too far off. Yeah, we're kind of taking similar thinking. I hope to see some more diverse lists in the comments.
Well, we're taking similar thinking, but I mean, I think we have all the same people gone right now, except I have Sharon gone and you have Carolyn gone. Otherwise, I think we're all pretty much the same. The kind of cool thing about it is though, like we're off by like 1 or 2 spots, or maybe even 3 or 4 spots with some of these people. So it's not like we have the exact same thing. I think we just think that the deep players are the same for both of us. Like I think
Yeah,
we both.
I had like a group of deep players I think we're going deep, and then kind of a group of players who I thought, got first boot. If you have a chance at first boot, I'm putting you, first boot off your tribe even, because those are the big. That's how you get big points, and you don't want big points.
Yeah, that's my whole Sharon reasoning as to why I have her at 9, because I could see her being the first boot off her tribe. I think there's a couple people that they're going to kick off before her, but if she does come off wrong to these people, they're going to get rid of her first, and I don't want her sitting there at first place, and I have 17 points after week 1.
Right.
All right, so at 8th, I'm going to go Carolyn.
Anything on Carolyn?
I don't know, man. I don't really have much to say about her.
I just hate how she looks like Missy. It's something I'm gonna have to get over.
Hey, as long as she doesn't act like Missy, I'm a happy person. Just don't act like her. You can look like her, just don't act like her.
Yeah, her voice is pretty distinct and different from Missy, so hopefully that will help once the season gets kicked off.
Yeah,
okay.
I think Carolyn's cool. I don't know. I kind of like her. You didn't like her, and that's what you had to choose between her and So, and you put her on the Phantom Tribe and took So earlier. I like Carolyn. So
she just has that kind of.
She has to overcome the age bias. That's really what it comes down to.
I'm gonna go with Kelly at 9th place.
8th place.
8th, losing track here. 8th place. Yeah, we're really getting down to it.
Yeah, and yeah, I know you have that unnecessary hatred for Kelly. I'm surprised she lasted this long.
I just know she can't win.
I don't know, man.
With me, I just get this weird. She doesn't scream winner to me.
I
And a
don't
lot
know.
of these people do. I could see a lot of these people carrying the torch as a Survivor winner, and I just.
Well, I have 7 people left, and I could see all 7 of them winning.
Mm-hmm.
And I could even see Carolyn winning. I could see most of this cast winning. That's what's great about this cast is I could see 16 out of the 18 people probably winning. Maybe even 17 of them, depending on how fake their pregame interviews were. Like, that's pretty good. That doesn't normally happen.
It doesn't. That's why we're so stoked for this season.
And that's why I'm struggling now, because these top 7, I really don't know which way to go. I guess at 7, I'm going to go Joe at 7.
Yeah, I like Joe. I think he might be kind of an early merge boot, which is 7 is right there. For my 7th place, I'm gonna go with Sierra, just because Sierra, there's a chance she goes early. That's the bottom line. Like, I like Sierra though, and her interview is cool. I mean, she really thinks that she's stronger than all the other chicks, and she might be. I mean, she's a barrel racer. It's pretty hardcore.
I love Sierra, and I don't know if you were the one who convinced me to love Sierra because you had said it in our cast assessment, but I wasn't crazy about her at the beginning. The more that she talks and stuff, and the more that we actually get from her, I like her a lot.
I'm a fan.
All right, so at 6th place, I'm gonna go Kelly.
All right, yeah, Kelly.
Yeah.
This is where it gets really tough. Let's see who I have left. Oh man. Because I didn't like when I went into this, I didn't like think, all right, this is my final three that I think they're going to be sitting there. It's kind of I am going to go with Vince,
Okay.
sixth place. I think he's going to be a really likable guy, and I think that's just going he's going to become a threat, and he'll get pretty far into the game, but he's going to get he doesn't win immunity one time, and I can see him just getting the boot.
I'm going to go a different way. I don't want to say where I actually have Vince because, we both only have 5 people left. But with Vince, I almost think that people might not look at Vince as a threat because of the type of guy he is. He might almost come across as like a coach to the point where people don't see him as a threat, but not like I think they might see him as more of like a playful guy than a really serious competitor. And I feel like that might help him more so than like Joe or somebody like Joe or like Tyler, Rodney even. I don't feel like they're going to look at Vince as this huge competitor. I think they're going to look at him more as, this guy's just kind of cool to be around. He's out here for the adventure. And then maybe he sneaks up and wins it on everyone.
Yeah. That's definitely a possibility. I can't disagree with you. It seems like in all these cast interviews, like the Gordon Holmes ones, that people are really taking notice to Vince. And that can be a really good thing, but that can also be a very bad thing. And
it can be a very bad thing, but it seems like they all want to play with him, which is crazy to me.
They do want to play with him, and I think they will. And I think, but by the time it's all said and done, by the time we're really getting down to 6 people left, and you're sitting with Vince, and everyone likes him, and everyone's wanting to play with him, and the jury he's probably going to be a big jury threat, I imagine. And all it takes is no immunity. You could have the best alliance in the world for $1 million, and he gets the boot. So.
Yeah, I hear you on Vince. I mean, he could go either way, but I just have this weird feeling about Vince. He's just in every interview they're like praising him, like it's like God just like walked onto or Jesus just walked onto the island. Everybody's like, I want to play with that guy. It's like why? Like I don't know what draws them to him, but something's drawing people to him.
It's the feathers.
It has to be. He's different, and people like that. It has to be. He's got a good group to be different with. All right, so my 5th place, I'm going to go Mike, and I'm kind of surprised we both still have him out here. Because he was the last guy picked for our fantasy draft, and I'm kind of surprised we still have him out here. I don't know if Mike can win, but I actually think this is going to be your villain of the season. Even though he keeps saying he wants to be the villain, I think he actually is going to succeed and be the villain.
The thing with Mike, he doesn't scream an early boot to me at all. Like I don't get, like if you look at that blue collar tribe, like he's probably equal strength with Rodney, and if either of those people is going to go from being annoying, it's going to be Rodney. And then if they vote, not based on who's annoying, and they vote on just strength, they'll go with one of the chicks, or they'll go with Dan, who's like the older, fat guy. And then if he makes it to the merge, which I'm thinking, because I think he will survive at least to a tribe swap. He doesn't seem to be totally game savvy in it as some of these other players are. That they're really,
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Judd Sargent. Or Boo.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's one of those two. It's either Judd or Boo, because that's who he reminds me of. Like, kind of like, I'm going to be the villain here. Although I guess Boo was really likable, but like a little clueless. But even though they're this big, strong guy, they keep finding themselves surviving each tribal council just because they're in a dominant alliance or there's bigger threats out there strategically.
Yeah, that's why I think once he makes the merge, he's a little bit older, so he doesn't scream, like the big, strong young guy who might get just picked off. So so you have Mike going what, 5th place?
5th place.
Okay. So I have 5 people left. Let me just make sure I have the 5 people. So I have Jen, Max, Sharin, Joe, and Mike.
Yep.
Man, this is tough. Um, I think I'm gonna go Joe here, and this is just in case he gets picked off early merge. But I think he's really likable, and I think he's pretty. His interview is very. He seems like he's got some wisdom for how young he is. He's got some insight. He's not just a big body. He's not. He doesn't seem like a kid that you would think this. He's probably one of the younger people on the season, and he's kind of like the young kid surfer guy. But I think he's got some smarts to him too. So Joe at fifth place on my boot list.
Yeah. And I mean, we both had the same reasonings on Joe. Uh, I could see Joe winning the game, though. He seems like he's a likable guy. I could see him winning.
I really could.
It always comes down to with those types of people, can he overcome that he's the young, fit-looking guy? He reminds me more of Malcolm, though, where he could win it than he does of, he's not all muscle. He seems like he can really kind of hide almost a little bit, but I don't think he's going to. I think people are going to kind of see him as a huge threat to win the game. So for fourth place, I'm gonna go Max, and I love Max. I hope Max lasts this long. I'm kind of scared that he might go early because he might turn out that he might come out and say he's a huge Survivor fan, which people might not want to hear. But I hope Max lasts because Max is the man. So I got him going fourth place. I think if he hits the merge, there's always going to be somebody more threatening than him, at least to the eye. So he's just going to keep on going through, and if he can start playing the game, Max could take the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't see the thing about Max. I don't fear for him at all pre-merge. Just I think he's going to take control of that tribe strategically. He seems fit enough. I don't think they're going to say, oh, he's like older. He's the oldest guy in the tribe, so we're going to get him off. And I think he's got just enough. He knows the game. I mean, he knows the game so well. You got to at least think he's going to make the merge. And then once the merge hits, like you said, the threats that are around are just going to be so much more apparent and more physical, while he is kind of the strategic threat.
Yeah, and I'm looking at my list. Other than him, I have most of the white collar going pre-merge or early merge. I think that tribe's kind of like a ticking time bomb of people just waiting to just explode because they think that they're the smartest, or they think that they're whatever they think. They might think that they have the most Survivor strategy just because in the real world they're the smartest people. I just feel like Max is going to be able to kind of hide behind that. And does he go before So or Joaquin or Tyler? I just don't see it happening. Even Caroline, I just don't see it happening. I don't see him being one of the first three boots off that white collar tribe.
Right. I'm banking on, for this boot list game, I'm really hoping Shirin and Max form an alliance. And I can really see them working together. And if they do work together, I think they'll be a duo to be reckoned with throughout the game. And that's why I have Shirin in here so long, is that if you just look at the personalities on that tribe, like I just see Max and Shirin gravitating together and I don't see them opposing each other. Yeah. What do you think on that relationship? Do you think they're going to work together?
Honestly, either they're going to work together or they're going to be the reason for each other's downfalls, because they're both huge fans. And they might come out and be like, that guy knows too much about the game. We got to get rid of him. And then Max might turn around and be like, well, she knows too much. And they might be the reason that each other goes. They might look at each other as threats instead of working together.
See, I feel like if I'm out there and I know the game inside and out, and I meet someone who's also a super fan and who's, someone who's really smart, and especially if I were on a white-collar tribe, which I wouldn't be, but let's just say, I would want to work with someone who knows the game. Like, that's something I want to work with. I know they'd be threatening, but you can take out, you got to think, if to be a savvy player, you can't just think the next vote. You got to think far ahead. So I think I could imagine both of them having a confessional saying, yeah, I want to work with Shirin, or I want to work with Max, but I'm going to get him out later. I'm going to flip on him at some point, or I'm going to flip on her at some point. So I see them forming an alliance, and that's why I'm kind of banking on that to happen. So I'm going to have Shirin going out in fourth place.
My thing with that, as we keep talking about the Shirin and Max thing, it really comes down with them is, if they do align, are they going to worry about each other too soon and one of them is going to flip way earlier than they should and screw up the whole game for themselves? Like, is one of them going to be so paranoid that the other is going to flip knowing how Survivor savvy they are? And then it ends up screwing them up in the long run, and then they take a chance of winning the whole game, and they end up getting 5th or 6th place because they voted somebody else out at 11. You know what I mean? Like, I could see that happening too. You know, because you're paranoid out there. Like, it's going to happen.
Right.
No matter how much you love the game, you're going to be paranoid.
The way I look at it is this: if you just look at the people who have won the game, most of them have had like that one ally, at least one that they can really trust.
Yeah.
You know, they've been pretty, loyal and sticking true. The people may make the big moves and the big lies, and that makes for great TV, and they might get the fan favorite, or they might be the biggest talked about. But the winners usually are people who have played a pretty, they make moves. Like, I'm not saying to say Tony is some honest person, but he stuck with, Wu until 2. Trish got 5th? Like,
yeah, she was 5th.
That's pretty far. That's as devious as Tony was, and then for any blindsides he did, the people that were on that Braun tribe day one, Wu and Trish, they fared pretty well in the game.
Well, and that's kind of the whole Russell Natalie thing. Natalie wins it, and they show you more Russell, but Natalie had the one guy Russell that she could trust, and Russell had his Natalie that he could trust, and they both felt like they could trust that other person completely. And as crazy as it seems to trust Russell completely, he never really blindsided people in his own alliance from the beginning. He found his group at the beginning, and he never got rid of them. So,
right.
and then Natalie saw that, and Natalie really did trust him.
Yeah, and he had, they went into a merge down 4-8. They had to stick together.
Yeah.
He's loyal to the people he really, stayed loyal. Jason went out only because Brett won immunity at 4. So
yeah.
I have Sharon going there at 4th place. You're up for your 3rd place finisher.
All right, my 3rd place finisher. This is me finally getting over my addiction that I have here. I'm putting Jen at 3rd place.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not going to put her as a winner.
That's surprising to me, man. That really is. I gotta say, because we were so high on Jen on the cast assessment, and then her interview comes out. She goes first pick in our fantasy draft. I still, as much I know she's a popular pick right now, but I'm still sticking with her. So
I hear you. I had to mix it up because I was becoming so obsessed with this character and having not even seen them on TV yet that it was becoming strange. So I had to put her at 3rd. It's kind of like knocking me off my horse of like Jen is the greatest person. She's gonna win this game. She's not. I don't know. I'm hoping she doesn't now because she's on your fantasy team, and now I have her at 3rd place on my boot list. So hopefully she gets 3rd place. She'll make the final tribal, but she'll be a coattail rider the whole game, and everybody will hate her. That's my prediction.
Okay. Well said. So who are the 2 people you have left? Wait, don't.
I have Vince and Sierra left.
Vince and Sierra. Interesting.
Yeah, that's why when you rattled them off at, what did you have them, 6 and 7, or 5 and 6, whatever you rattled them off at. I think it was 6 and 7. I was like, damn, those are my 1 and 2 right now.
Yeah, that's good. I like how we're differentiating a little bit because we don't want it to be, be boring. So, yeah, and I have 3 people left. I have Max, Mike, and Jen, and I'm going to put. I'm between Mike and Max right now because I'm putting Jen at number 1. I'm sticking with it. She's on my fantasy team. I think if you had gotten Jen on your fantasy team, I probably wouldn't have her. I'm not really hedging. I'm just kind of putting all my eggs in one basket here. But that's how much of a fan I am of Jen. So it's just a toss up. You know what? I'm gonna go. Because the thing is, if Max gets to the finals, he wins. So if I wanted to do this, if I wanted to set this up like as actually would happen and have a chance at getting 100% right, which is obviously not going to happen, then I would put Max at 3rd. But Mike might cost me points early if I keep letting him slide. So I'm going to go Mike at 3, Max at 2, Jen at 1. Sorry I skipped you. Those are my
That's fine.
Those are my final 3 picks.
And I kind of like what you did there with Mike at 3 because, I mean, yeah, if Max goes to the final, he's going to win. But at the same time, Mike has a way better chance of getting voted out early merge than Max does.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
feel like what you
And,
have there is you have the 3 safe bets on each tribe in your final 3.
yeah, I mean, every point's going to count in this. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a pretty close battle. And,
Yeah.
we might not have anyone comment a boot list and participate in the game, but we're still playing for a buff between you and I.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Well,
You're down to
let's.
Sierra and Vince. I think I know who you're going with.
I'm gonna go Vince 2 and Sierra 1.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to have Vince taking it.
You know
Sierra as
what?
the winner.
It's
Wow.
it's like how you put all your eggs in one basket with Jen.
I
I just
mean,
did that with
that's.
Sierra.
Did you love her interview today? Well, that was today, right?
Was it today? Yeah, it was
I
today.
think so.
Or was it
Yeah, she was.
yesterday?
She was the interview for today. I mean, I like the interview, but to put her at 1 on my boot list,
Well, here's my reason.
yeah,
I
let's hear
have
it.
I got stuck with Sierra on my fantasy team. You got Jen. You're living the dream. I got the next best. So I got to put all my eggs in the Sierra basket while you put all your eggs in the Jen basket. And when they have like their little duel halfway through our fantasy season here, I hope Sierra pulls it out. Sierra, I don't know. I don't know why I really wanted to put Sierra at 1. I just feel like I have to put all my eggs in one basket. You have Vince, you have Jen on your team. I love both of them, but I'm going to kind of hope that Sierra pulls out everything and wins me everything. So I'm going to go Vince
It's
at 2, Sierra at 1.
it's funny because in Jen's interview, she said we're assuming it's Sierra who's the one that hogged the straightener, and that she straight hair. Like it could have been Sharin, but it sounded like she was talking about like a younger chick.
Well, it could have been
So,
Carolyn, too, because I
uh,
looked at Carolyn's hair. Carolyn's hair is incredibly straight in those pictures.
but didn't you get the vibe that it was like someone of youth? Like it sounded like kind of like childish a little bit, and it wasn't really talking about a Sharon or a Kelly or a Carolyn or like a Nina, but more of like a Lindsay or a Sierra.
You know what it is,
I mean,
though?
who knows?
I agree with you, but I think that also is just our preconceived notion that the way Sierra, I mean, it's kind of based on the way Sierra looks. We're kind of just assuming she's the one who's got to like keep checking herself in the mirror, when maybe she might come out and just be like a tomboy who's just kind of like, whatever, I just look this good anyway. And Carolyn was the one who was like, damn, I'm going to be on TV, I got to do this.
She is kind of a tomboy.
Yeah, so maybe it wasn't her. I don't know.
Yeah, you cut out a little bit there. I don't know. We'll see what happens in the broadcast. But yeah,
Now you're cutting out.
in her interview, she has a horse trailer for like, and she eats like gas station burritos all the time, and she can rough it. So yeah, that doesn't need to be here with the hair necessarily. Maybe Jen and Sierra will form an alliance at some point.
Jen,
And
Sierra, Vince, and Mike, and Max. That'll be our final 4 because they all form an alliance. That'd be a great final 4. I'd love that.
I think no matter what, this season is going to provide a great Final Four.
I agree.
But yeah, okay, rattle off your list and then mine, because you kept track. I don't have mine totally in my head. So
All
yeah,
right.
do a recap of the list.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say like 18th because that's like how we want you guys to do it, so that we can score it that way. 18th. So this is mine. I had 18th. So Lindsay, Joaquin, Nina, Haley, Dan, Rodney, Tyler, Will, Sharin, Carolyn, Joe, Kelly, Mike, Max, Jen, Vince, and then Sierra at number 1. So that's from 18 to 1. Willie has 18th, first person voted out, Jen. You gonna correct me on that or no?
Oh no,
You need to put up a fight. You're not even paying attention to me.
I thought you were saying I thought you were going to go backwards for a second because you said first, and I was like, he's starting with Jen. Maybe he misspoke. I was going to let you try to recover yourself. I didn't
No, I
understand.
was about to go Jen, Joaquin, Nina for you.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, read the real list.
All right, not that you'll ever know. But anyway, Willie has 18th, Lindsay, then Joaquin, Nina, Dan, Will, Haley, Carolyn, Rodney, Tyler, Kelly, Sierra, Vince, Joe, Sharin, Mike, Max, and Jen at number 1. So those
That's
are our
right.
two boot lists.
Yeah, and I'm just going to review again how you can participate and like what's going on. Um, for every, if we get more than 25 entries, which we may not, but we're hoping to get maybe, if we get to 50 people, it'll be 2 buffs. But until that happens, there's 1 buff up for grabs, a season 30 buff, or the season or the 15th anniversary, collector's buff. You can choose that one too. So that's up for grabs, and all you do is you submit a boot list in the comments and subscribe. You have to be entered in the contest. You have to subscribe, and then we score the boot list by taking the difference of what each person plays. So I have Jen winning the whole thing. She's the first boot. That means the difference was 18th place to first place. That's means I have 17 points, which is not good. You don't want points. The person out of everybody to have the least amount of points at the end will win the buff.
Yeah, and this is our way of, if you subscribe to us, here's your chance for us to get back to you. So
yeah, and we're hoping to get a lot of entries. The more entries we get, the more buffs that there will be to win. So yeah, tell if you know Survivor fans. I only know like a few. I know Phil, and that's about it.
And I want you to know too that unlike Spencer, who made that ridiculous bet on Twitter where he said he was going to give $10 to everybody if the Seahawks lost that game, which they did, and I don't have my $10 yet. We will hold true on our bet here, so we will go through on this.
Yeah, well, because Spencer probably lost, like, that would have cost him $5,000. This is just like one of us is going to be buying a buff for either a fan or for the other person.
Until there's 8,000 entries, right?
Yeah, hey, we have 8,000 subscribers. That'd be pretty wild. Are there that many Survivor fans left?
Hey man, supposedly there's millions. I don't know if they're huge fans that are going to come listen to us, but
they're hard to come by though. Survivor fans. If I meet a Survivor fan in person, I get excited. So,
you never want to admit it. That's what it always is. So for some reason, like admitting it in public for some people is weird. Like not the super fans, because I'll tell anybody that I love Survivor. But there's a lot of people who don't want to say that they still watch it, and then you tell them that you watch it, and they're like, "Oh, can I come over and watch it?" It's like, wait, I thought you just said it was stupid. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So I think people are just a little scared to say that they're watching something 15 years later.
We love it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to convince anyone else because I convinced myself.
Right. All right. So yeah, subscribe and enter the contest. We'll see how this shakes out. Hopefully we'll get a good amount of entries, and this will be pretty interesting. And we'll do a leaderboard each week during our recap episode. So yeah, next week we'll be doing our power rankings, and that game is because we're doing 3 fantasy games, and whoever wins 2 out of 3 will win the championship of Phil or Will, I guess. And we'll be submitting power ranking. That will be weekly. We'll do our weekly power rankings, and yeah, that'll be fun too.
Yeah. So next Wednesday. See you then.
Over and out.